Welcome to This Sustainable Life, the premier community on learning to live sustainably. Are you trying to live sustainably? Me too. Enjoy the process? Me too. To hear heads of government, business, culture, sports, and everywhere also doing it, changing government and corporations. I've been on my journey of environmental sustainability for years. My guests and I have learned and share on sustainable food, sustainable farming, sustainable travel, and more. This podcast shares my results, often opinionated, and world-class guests I lead on how to be more sustainable. You're about to hear an episode originally recorded audio only. You'll hear the original podcast name, Leadership in the Environment, because I focus a lot on leadership. Subscribe, upvote, share, and tell everyone about it. We're growing fast. Now here's the episode.
The food tastes worse when it's in a plastic container. Believe me, I have a long way to go in the businesses I'm involved in and in my own personal use, but there's no reason why I shouldn't do it because selfishly, the food tastes better and I feel better when I see it. Like, you're just waking me up to stuff I already believe in, but I kind of dropped the ball on. When the world turns back on after COVID, we have some work to do. It all, we put on 325 events, millions of people a year. And so we could really make a big impact.
Welcome to the award-winning Leadership in the Environment podcast. We guide you to living better by your values. We bring you relevant views on important topics without doom and gloom. We focus on awareness and action. It's about bringing fun, community, and connection to your everyday life. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Let's do this. You're in for a treat. Joe and I start talking business in the conversation, so you'll hear things happening while we're talking. We start off by talking about his exercising. You can't see this, but he's doing exercises while we talk. So some of the sound isn't so perfect because he's moving around a little bit and he's short of breath at sometimes. Then we start talking about my plans to swim across the Hudson River, which I'm planning to do 48 hours from when we recorded this, which is to say like 47 hours from now. Then we start talking about his commitment to picking up beach trash. But really what we were talking about was talking about doing things, not just talking, but doing. Also his passion for what he experienced. I mean, you'll hear the thing about the dolphin and things like that. And then we start doing. He starts planning during the call to transform Spartan Race's food and garbage plans. Now, millions of people do this stuff, so it's a really meaningful change that he's talking about. He puts me in touch with a food friend, and he starts the process to schedule a presentation for me to give to the Spartan Race's leadership team to kick the process off of changing what they do. I tell him about podcast guest Marina McCoy. If you look back, you can see she helps organizations and events do the food stuff. And so by the time this is up, probably we will have started doing business together. It's really exciting to me. Listen to the episode and I'll talk a little bit more when we finish. Here's Joe. Welcome to the Leadership in the Environment podcast. This is Joshua Spodek. I'm here with Joe De Sena. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And I am so happy that you're letting me use my continuous rope while we do this because, I have a friend. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole for a second. I have a friend who runs a very, very large business, a $38 billion hedge fund. He argues with me that when you're working, you should be working. And when you're exercising, you should be exercising. And you should not mix the two. And if people are using stand-up desks, that's ridiculous. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm more creative when I'm moving. If I have blood flowing, I'm just feeling better. So thank you for letting me do this. I think my interview will be better because I'm exercising.
I have no problem with it. And yes, and I forget if it was just before or just after I hit record, but you're like, do I envy you? And I was like, yes and no. So if people hear him out of breath, I don't know if you'll get out of breath, but it's because it's audio only so people can't see it, but he's like pulling on this rope and getting some exercise.
Yeah.
There's also, I had another guest, Dr. Michael Greger. He's more into nutrition, but he stands on a treadmill and walks while he does podcasts and all sorts of things.
For 7 years in my office, when I was straddling building Spartan and also still on Wall Street, I had set up a spin bike at my desk. And I would do somewhere between 5 and 8 hours a day on my spin bike, nice and slow. I wasn't sweating, but I could always be pedaling at the hardest possible resistance so that my legs move slow and I could type. And one day my friends and I decided to bike across America and I was in shape because I had been on my bike.
I want to hear about you and cleaning up garbage off the beach together. But since we're talking about this, I'm going to say why I'm a bit resting for Wednesday. So first of all, yesterday was my lifting day. Today was my Turkish get-up day. And of course, there's the usual calisthenics in the morning. So I've already done 20 minutes of calisthenics and 3 sets of Turkish get-ups. So let's see. You may know that 12 years ago, the morning after the opening Olympics, for the 2008 Olympics, the opening ceremonies, a friend and I took the ferry across to Port Imperial in New Jersey, put our shoes and shirts in the trash, jumped a fence, got in the Hudson River, and swam across to Manhattan. That's the picture that's at the top of my podcast, or of my blog. And it's like this big thing. It was like, for me, it's like a crossing Rubicon, where we just swam across the river, and something like a kilometer across. And people often ask, how do you do something like that? Like, how do you do that? And it took me a while before I realized there's one answer to this question. Here's how you swim across the river. You get in the water and swim across the river. There's no mystery to this at all. And you just do it, right? And most cities have rivers, so it's available to anyone. So last fall, I gave a talk. Someone came up to me afterward, and we got to talking. We became really good friends. And we said, all right, we're going to go swim across the river this summer. And so Wednesday, I checked the tides, and because the Hudson is a tidal river, it goes both directions, and you want to go when it's not flowing too much. So Wednesday morning, we're going to swim across the Hudson River. And it's going to be my first time since 2008. I haven't really swum since then. So just because I am going to be like half a kilometer from land for a bit, so I want to rest up and be prepared for that. So that's like, it's possible that by the time this posts, I've died and drowned in the middle of the river, been swept out to sea, or hit by some giant boat. But there's not that many boats this time of year, during the COVID stuff. We're going up north, north of Port Imperial is about where the 60s or the 70s on Manhattan are, the streets. And there's not that as many boats go up there, because most of the docks are down at the 40s and below. So that's my big thing that I'm looking forward to on Wednesday.
First of all, congratulations. I'm jealous. Second of all, I want to go down a rabbit hole on something very important that you said that you and I should dive further into, both on this podcast and maybe an article afterwards. I've had countless instances over 20 years where people have said to me, these are very, very accomplished people, Olympic wrestlers, Olympic wrestling coaches, CEOs, military. And they would say to me, how did you do that? Your point, like, how did you swim across the river? How did you bike to Vermont? How did you just get in the mud and drag that kayak out to sea? And I would scratch my head like you did. And I'd say, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I don't understand. But people, this is really important, right, for your podcast. And this is really important for you and I in our missions. People get stuck on what seemingly is so simple. Like if you said to me, Joe, how did you solve that amazing math equation that straddled 5 blackboards? I would say, okay, well, that question makes sense. How did you solve that? But maybe the mathematician would say, what do you mean? I just did it, right? And so I think we could give people a little kick in the ass that says something along the lines of, this is not rocket science. You just put one foot in front of the other, or one stroke in front of the other, and you do it. Now, let's hang a right turn here for a second. How do you feel about maybe having a couple of balloons tied to you guys while you swim, just so that boats could see you?
Well, I've thought about stuff like that. We're probably not, sounds like a great idea. Actually, it turns out that the guy who I was going to do it with, 2 years ago, this guy came from England, and he's really into not pollution stuff. And he had a bike with pontoons, and he rides this bike around in the water in London, in the Thames, to generate attention for all the garbage in the Thames. He rides this bike on the pontoons, picks up garbage, and people are like, what's this? And he's like, it's about garbage, right? So he gets attention. Comes over here, there's a bike problem, and he freaks out. And we were going to go across with him on the bike on the pontoons, me swimming. And it didn't work out. And I got really annoyed. And he and I got really annoyed at each other for various reasons, because we wanted to do it. And again, this time, actually, the guy that I just talked about, for 9 months, we've been planning it. Not planning it, but just last week, he goes, oh, by the way, I can't do it. I'm like, what the? He's like, oh, my wife, kids. I'm like, But in the meantime, I called up a different friend and said, he's also a photographer, but he's a swim coach. And so I asked him if he was interested. He's like, am I interested? I've been dying to do that. I think ever since he heard that I did the first time. And he is trained as a lifeguard. So now I got someone with me the original guy is gone. So there's 2 people who've come and gone who said they were like, definitely, you can count on me. Nothing will keep me from this, right? So they're not doing it. Although he also had a death in the family, so that's untouchable. So now at least I'm going across with a trained lifeguard.
Today is Monday and you're going Wednesday.
Yeah.
Text me. Don't text me. Email me afterwards, or text me. and I will try to find you somebody to join along in a kayak or something. Don't forget, I have a bunch of lunatics in my orbit.
Yeah, a kayak along would be great.
I might be able to get you a kayaker alongside you, and I will work on that. If I can't, promise me, just like I promised you I'd clean up on the beach, promise me to just throw a couple of helium balloons, 2 or 3 helium balloons. It won't affect your speed or anything. The reason I'm asking you to do it is because I've done a lot of kayaking at night, and surprisingly, now I know you're not going in the dark, but surprisingly, I almost got hit by a bunch of big boats that I did not hear or see.
I hear you. Yes, I'll take some safety measures, such as those.
I was in a kayak. I wasn't even swimming where water was in my ears and stuff. And I'm just kind of shocked. I'm shocked that I did not see giant boats coming at me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were running without lights. So you're going to make the swim. You know it. The swim, all that stuff's easy. I'm just worried about some idiot texting and driving his boat,
Yeah. All right. So after we record, I'll check with you about lunatics in the area to go kayaking next to us. Yes. And also about having some visible stuff for people to see.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk you and the beach. By the way, so this will come up something like a month after we're talking now. So everyone listening to this, hopefully it's possible I've died, but hopefully not. So let's talk beach cleanup. And then I want to talk about how you've inspired me, because you remember we were talking about the rowing outdoor stuff.
Yeah. So I inspired you hopefully for the stairs. You inspired me to clean up. I came out to Montauk. We have a multi-generational family house out here in Montauk. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to come out here because we have a farm in Vermont. But when you own a house, first of all, when you own anything in life, you don't own it, it owns you. Mm-hmm. So this house in Montauk owns us, and it forces us as a family to use it in the summer. And so we came out here. I'd kind of rather be on the farm, but we have some fun really, really nice friends out here. And almost every morning, we're working out on the beach. Some days we're going on a road. Every day we're dragging chains and carrying weights and kettlebells and sandbags. And I have a total of 7 to 10 kids with me who I sadly have not been able to inspire to pick up garbage. But I've been picking up garbage because I made that commitment to you. And something special happened the other day because of your inspiration. Is I stumbled upon a wounded dolphin.
Ooh, wow! Yeah.
Some people had found it before me, and they created a bath for the dolphin, and they were pouring water on it. And I literally thought of you because I said this would not have happened. This moment would not have happened had I not been looking for some garbage. So thank you for that. And the other thing that's come out of your inspiration is it's made me really miserable to see how much garbage it's kind of disgusting actually. And I think that's why I like Vermont better, is because I don't have to visually see what we are doing to the planet. It's just sad really. And a couple of rabbit holes. I heard that an island off Australia, some scientists went to an uninhabited island, and they did some digging in the sand, and they did a calculation. And there was almost 1 million pairs of flip-flops that had washed ashore. 1 million pairs of flip-flops.
Wow.
They did the calculation of how many, they'd been buried in sand and they were digging up all the garbage. And that just makes me want to vomit at how irresponsible we all are. And I had another one, but now I can't remember.
Well, let me ask you this. And while you're thinking of that, you feel disgust when you see what humans are doing. And my question is, given that the garbage is there, I mean, we'd prefer for the garbage not to be there. And, I'm certainly working to have the garbage to have less of it and to not create so much. But given that it's there, would you rather see it and feel the disgust, or not see it and not feel the disgust?
I mean, I guess seeing it, hopefully it triggers the same response I'm getting in others, that maybe they change their habits. So that's one thought I have immediately when you ask that question. And another thought is, why can't we get our act together? I remember in the 1970s being in a car with my mom. So I was pre 8 years old. And I remember like it was yesterday, the car in front of us, McDonald's wrappers and cups and straws out the window of their car. It was the way it was. It wasn't abnormal. back then. That was like a normal way to get rid of your garbage. Just throw it in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess on the other hand, if I didn't see garbage, I would hope that we've changed our ways. I mean, look, I lived in Singapore for a year and I lived in Tokyo for a year. In Tokyo, for example, you can't find a garbage pail anywhere. And so what happens is people change their habits and they just take everything, they own it. If they have something they sneezed in or a napkin or whatever, it's in their pocket. They have to deal with it, as opposed to just being so free with it that it overwhelms garbage pails and blows into streets. And it's so clean in those two countries. China, the opposite. By the way, I've heard New York City. You're there, so you could give us some feedback. My friend just said New York City's starting to feel like it's going backwards. Like he's starting to see garbage. Like it's just
not just starting. I'm in Greenwich Village. Every single garbage can around me by noon is overflowing because all the restaurants are serving outdoors. And people are eating 2 or 3 meals a day, as far as I can tell, outdoors it's all disposable stuff. So, and no one's drinking from water fountains, and they somehow can't go for an hour without water. So it's like, this kills me to see like an 8-ounce water bottle. Like, why does an 8-ounce water bottle exist? It's not addressing thirst. So the trash cans are overflowing. So the gutters are all filling up now too. And by evening, I mean, forget the masks. It's like 20% compliance here on masks. But the garbage is just, I've never seen this much garbage in the street as now. And there's not as many people around. So the garbage per person is much higher.
Did you live in New York in the 70s by chance?
I came here in the 80s.
In the 80s. So in the 70s, I remember, again, going to like 42nd Street and stuff, like as part of a trip from Queens. And it was disgusting. I mean, New York City was disgusting and nearly bankrupt. And it would suck if it went backwards, you know?
Especially because now it's much more plastic. Then it would have been more metal and paper, which at least has some degree of more recyclability, but also more biodegradable. But it's not toxic. It's not going to be around for 500 years, choking things. I mean, the metal will be around forever, but not toxically.
How do we get rid of plastic forever? How do we do it?
Remember what you asked me, or what we talked about just doing things?
Yeah.
Have I shown you my garbage bag over there? So people at home won't be able to see this, but
you last a month, right?
That canvas bag on that chair over there, that's my garbage so far since December. All of it.
Amazing.
So people say, what do you do? I'm like, you go to the store and you buy the fruits and vegetables, you buy the stuff without packaging. That's it. Now, in my experience, what happened with me was that suddenly my diet became like steamed broccoli, steamed asparagus, fruit, and I'd get the bulk food stuff so I could buy the wheats and grains and nuts from bulk and put into my own packages. So for a while, I was just having like salt and pepper on steamed vegetables for like 3 or 4 or 5 months. But gradually, I'd find, this vegetable goes with that vegetable. And, I learned how to make beans on the stove and then eventually in the pressure cooker. And that changed everything. And then I make these famous no packaging vegetable stews. But here's what you do. You don't buy things in plastic. End of story. Step 2, don't die. And that's not that hard.
I want to connect you. You just gave me an idea. I got a friend living out in the Mojave Desert who started the company Organic Avenue.
Uh-huh.
He lives out in the Mojave and all he eats is sprouts. And the reason he only eats sprouts is because they only cost like 11 cents a day, and he grows them himself. And I'm going to connect you with him because between the way you handle garbage and the way he handles food, we could change the world.
Yeah. And I have to say, I don't know if they're still around, but there at least have been a couple Organic Avenues around me. And I see a fair amount of Organic Avenue plastic cups or paper cups in the street after they're being used.
Let's talk to him about that. But I think he's changed his ways, and now he's only eating sprouts. He admits that, 20 years ago, he would eat like a chicken right off a rotisserie on the street, and he just didn't have a clue. And he met a girl who was a vegan, and it just changed everything in his life. So we got to get you in. He's a sprout guy. You're the garbage guy. He's a sprout guy.
Cool. Yeah, I go through a lot. Well, I've thought about sprouting stuff, although I just keep pressure cooking it. And yeah, from when maybe college up until a few years ago, there was always ice cream in my freezer. There were always pretzels and chips in my cupboard. And now I don't know if there's enough money in the world for me to eat that stuff anymore. And I didn't decide like, I don't want to, like, I didn't say I'm going to not like this anymore. It just gradually became more and more disgusting and more like those Snyder's of Hanover pretzel bits. I used to love them. I couldn't stop eating them. And now I keep thinking like, maybe I'll try a couple just to remind myself what the taste was. And then I think of it going into me and I'm like, not worth it. I don't mind going to the grave without remembering what that taste was. Meanwhile, I eat like these nectarines I had. Fruit in season is just unbelievable. I can't put into words how much more I love that stuff than I ever thought I could.
I'm going to call Doug right now. Let's hang on a second. Let's get Doug on the phone. I'm going to tell him I love just waking people up. And
so, yeah, listeners, like as you speak, it's happening.
Yeah, I just love making it happen. Let's see. My man, Doug Sprouts. Sometimes I call him 3 a.m. I just wake him up. Hey, buddy. Hey, listen, you're on a podcast right now, and we're talking garbage, Snyder pretzels, and Sprouts.
All right. Well, the most important thing is Sprouts.
That's right.
Sprouts don't generate garbage. Sprouts generate the most nutritious food on the planet at the lowest cost per ounce per gram with the most nutrients, and anyone can grow them for pennies a serving. So let's just get into Sprouts.
We just need Sprouts. Sprouts forever. So I'm going to connect you two guys. And my buddy, by the way, is swimming across the Hudson River here, the host of the podcast. He's swimming across on Wednesday, right?
Yeah. So about 48 hours from now, we should be just finishing.
Yeah, he's going to swim across. Hopefully he doesn't die. Knock on wood that he doesn't die. And he'll incorporate Sprouts into his whole mission. He's got one little bag of garbage since December in his apartment. He literally creates no garbage.
Yeah, leave
not zero.
No impact. I love it.
And Doug's living out in the Mojave. You can't be accumulating a lot of garbage out in the Mojave Desert.
No, I'm like one of the few people that goes to Burning Man that actually leaves everything behind because I bring in Sprouts and then I fill up a porta potty. So, yeah. Because otherwise, you know what happens to trash. It goes into the ground and it lasts for like 100,000 years. So we got to get away from plastic. We got to get away from single-use packaging. And we should be buying Sprouts in bulk.
Yep. All right.
In bulk.
All right. How you feeling? You full of energy today from your Sprouts?
Oh, yeah. I am by far. I'm like
This is my container of lentils. So I bought a 50-pound bag of lentils the last time.
Doug, we're looking at a 50-pound bag of lentils.
That is the bomb.
So Doug, what's your favorite thing to sprout? Broccoli seeds?
I think broccoli seeds, because of the whole like cruciferous vegetable sulforaphane, are something that I have used as like I grow my own multivitamins through broccoli seeds. And 1 cup of broccoli sprouts has 60% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin C, and they have chlorophyll, and they have fiber, and they have that miracle glucoraphanin, which forms the sulforaphane. So I think you have to be consuming at least 4 ounces of broccoli sprouts every day.
When he does sprouts, is it just getting the stuff wet, or is it the thing where you put that layer of stuff in the trays?
No, just water. Just water, right, Doug?
Yeah. We're at a level that I'm trying to do this for the masses, and all you need to sprouts is some sort of vessel to hold water and seeds, and then a method of straining them, and then you have it. And as opposed to waiting weeks, months, years for your food, you can have edible sprouts in days.
So Doug, what he does is he puts a little water in, and then he strains it out. About 1 day later?
You put the water in, you soak them, you strain them, 8 hours, 12 hours later, and then you rinse them and strain them twice a day, and then you could start eating like the lentils in 2 or 3 days, broccoli sprouts 3 to 5 days, and you're golden.
Awesome. All right, Doug, I'm going to connect you guys. You're going to be, you guys together are going to literally eliminate all the garbage in the world, and everybody's going to, restaurants are going to close anywhere unless they're selling sprouts. It's just going to be, you could eat anything you want as long as it's sprouts.
Yeah, look, I think the thing is, I'm okay with eating mature vegetables, and I love fruit. The point is, you don't want to be eating processed garbage which totally corrupts your microbiome and gives you food cravings to eat things that will literally destroy you. Destroy you, destroy the planet.
Yeah. All right. Love you, buddy. I'll see you.
Good to meet you.
You guys connect with it. Well, I'm going to connect you guys. This is Doug Sprout. Doug, what's your last name? I only have you as Doug Sprouts.
Doug Evans.
Doug Evans.
E-A-N-S.
And Doug Evans wrote a book. And I'll connect you guys.
Doug, looking forward to talking to you offline.
Okay, terrific, my friend. I look forward to it. Hey, listen, you're going to do great. Swimming across the Hudson River for most people is deadly and dangerous. For you, it's a f***ing cup of tea.
Yeah.
He's done it before, but this time he's going to swim underwater the whole way, holding his...
Not that.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
See you, bro.
Bye-bye.
If you like the show, I recommend acting, as my guests do. It works best with someone supportive, your spouse, parents, kids, neighbors, or friends. Learn the 4-step process I do with my guests and describe it in my TEDx talks and do it together. You'll find yourself acting on something you care about, something meaningful. Whether you start big or small doesn't matter. If you care, if it's meaningful, you'll keep doing it. You'll reach big. Eventually, stewardship will feel normal. You'll wish you had started earlier. Second, I recommend donating to help this podcast at joshuaspodek.com/donate. I promote degrowth and stewardship, which no advertiser will touch, but brings joy, community, connection, and abundance to you when you act, and global change in the long run. Help us keep going. That's joshuaspodek.com/donate. So years from now, when Doug and my partnership leads to something, everyone will know this is where it started.
I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm always connecting everybody, and just making shit happen. And it's good. Selfishly, it's good for me too, because I know that I'm supposed to just be eating more sprouts, and I know I'm supposed to be getting rid of less garbage. So I like to put myself in these little tornadoes of goodness.
So here's a little challenge for you. Last time, you might remember, you showed me the green juice that you're drinking and you said, see, I got a paper straw. I'm with you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that now?
About the paper straw?
Well, I'm also thinking the whole thing, because I bit my tongue and it was like, not going to say anything.
I'll tell you what. And I think this is the case with everybody. I feel really good when I see paper straws, and when I see, we have a general store in Vermont, and it costs us more to put things in these biodegradable containers. It's much cheaper to buy plastic containers. And I have to tell you, the food tastes better when subconsciously I see the food in this wonderful container that's gonna be good for the earth. The food tastes worse when it's in a plastic container. So believe me, I have a long way to go in the businesses I'm involved in and my own personal use. But there's no reason why I shouldn't do it, because selfishly, the food tastes better and I feel better when I see it. You're just waking me up to stuff I already believe in, but I kind of dropped the ball on.
That's what I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people do or don't act, or a lot of people don't act because they think to themselves, look, what I do is not that big of a deal. And when I divide that by 7.7 billion, it's really nothing. Well, there's a couple things to that. One is, if you enjoy it anyway.
And don't forget, we make a big impact with Spartan. When the world turns back on after COVID, we have some work to do. We put on 325 events, millions of people a year. And so we could really make a big impact.
This is what I'm talking about. It's not whether the first thing you do is big or small. It's whether you care about it. Because if you care about it, if it's meaningful, you'll do it again and again, and it'll get bigger each time, and you'll share it with people. And every now and then you'll hit someone like Joe, who has founded and runs this really big thing, and it makes some really outsized impact. And if you like it, why not do it anyway? So I'm not going to argue that if enough people do little things, that the little things will add up. But to me, what really matters is if it's meaningful, because meaningful will get big and meaningful spreads.
Could we, gave me an idea. We should get you and Doug, after you meet Doug, we should get you and Doug to give a little 15-minute presentation, like you and I do in the podcast, to our entire team at the company. And because, it takes a village, right? Like, if I could get 5 out of 500 of our team to buy in, or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 people to buy into this, it'll just happen much quicker.
Yeah. Or even just one who really loves it. And then it'll be inevitable.
Let's plan on setting that up with Susan, where the whole team, we do it at night or in the morning, so I can get the whole global team on a Zoom call. And the presentation is simply how Spartan changes the world regarding food and regarding garbage.
I'm in. Let's do it tomorrow, or we'll do it through Susan. We'll plan it.
Yes, that would be really great, because one of the big fights I'm having is, a lot of the venues that I rent to host events, they don't want to give up their food revenue. So I can't get the venue if they don't own the food. And invariably what that means is hot dogs, hamburgers, plastic, soda, and I want to vomit, right? Because that's so off brand for me. So I got to.
You're in Vermont. I know who to put you in touch with. She's been a guest on this podcast, and she does like Lollapalooza size events, and she works with them. It's not like she just comes in and says, "Here's your stuff." She works with you. She figures out what your needs are, and it's all up and down she does great work. So I'll put you in touch with her.
No, that would be great. But don't forget, I'm at the mercy, in some cases, I'm at the mercy of the venue. If I need that particular venue in that county and they just won't give up the food, I have to make a choice. Do I not have that event? Because I'll take the lesser of two evils, right? One evil is everybody stuck on their couch and lazy and eating popcorn and watching Netflix. The other one is, okay, at least I get them to the event and they're training, even if they've got to sell hot dogs and hamburgers at the event. So, but we're taking steps forward.
Yeah, she's done so many things that I suspect that whatever problems you hit, she's hit it a million times before and has figured her way around. But I can't say for sure. But I'll put you guys in touch. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it might be a lot easier than you suspect.
Hey, you want the good news?
Yes.
The good news is, give me 1 second. I've climbed 2,500 feet on this rope during our call so far.
Oh man,
2,500 feet. Think about that in stairs. That would be a hell of a lot of stairs. Yeah, that's great.
So I'm going to tell you. Speaking of stairs, I'm going to tell you about my rowing machine. So I guess the next cardio day after that, I ran, which I'm running barefoot outdoors. But the next one after that, so I just took the rowing machine apart into two pieces. And I just walked over to the staircase and just walked up 11 flights of stairs, came back down, got the other half, took that up another 11 flights of stairs. And, there's a mental shift that happened that I'm really glad. I was thinking about you and feeling gratitude the whole time, because it's a shift. Like I wasn't thinking, oh, what is this? Like, this is a pain. I'm just thinking, this is part of my deal. Like I was going to row and I'm going to go up the stairs too. So I went up 11 flights, then down 11 flights, then up 11 flights with the other half. And then since I'd done all the stairs, I thought normally I was going to row for 20 minutes. So I thought I'll take it easy. So I decided to go for 30 minutes. Somehow in my head, 30 minutes was easier than 20 minutes. Then after that, I brought half of it down, went back up another 11 flights, then brought the other half down. Then a couple days later, it was my Turkish get-up day. And I thought, all right, the kettlebell, I'm going to bring up this. I thought, wait, can I do, the rooftop is a really rough surface, the ground. And I was like, am I going to tear up my elbows on this or not? And I thought, how can I tell? Well, got to bring the kettlebell up anyway. So I took the kettlebell up, looked at the ground. I was like, this is really going to fuck up my elbows. So took the kettlebell back down, did them on my floor here, but did the gratuitous up and down anyway.
I love it. What are you doing Friday and Saturday, this Friday and Saturday?
I don't think I have any specific plans.
Do you have a way to get to Vermont?
I got this bike over there. That's a touring bike.
Check if there's a train. I don't know. I assume the Amtrak is running. Check if the trains are coming. If you wanted to come up, we're going to be doing 24 hours in my backyard on the farm, children and adults. And for 24 hours, we're just going to be going up and down the mountain. You can rest as much as you want. And I think you'd love it, especially since now you're carrying kettlebells and rowing machines. What
stop is it?
You would get off in Rutland, Vermont.
All right. So I'll check on that.
Yeah. And ideally you would arrive Friday.
All right. So lots to follow up with you. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Now there's been dead air because my mind is reeling at all the different things to do.
Well, now you have a reason to live. Like if you're taking in water in the Hudson, you'll say, I have to make it to Joe's on Friday.
Oh, I see. I was like, I got a lot of reasons to live. Yeah, well, make it up to Vermont. I'm also a bit nervous about taking train with COVID because I have to visit my mom later and she's in her 70s and has asthma and she's really...
There might be buses. Yeah, there might be buses. I don't know that go up to Vermont. I'm trying to think. I don't have anybody from New York coming up. Well, you email me and I'll see if I have anybody coming up from New York.
Okay, yeah, I got to email you about the kayaking also.
Yeah.
Well, man, now I'm stuck with all the stuff, and I'm thinking, should we wrap up the conversation now? Because it's hard for me to hold a conversation. It's hard for me to talk to you while I'm thinking about all this follow-up stuff.
Call it a day. I got my garbage to pick up. You got your stairs to climb, and you got to get ready for your swim.
Yeah.
And no, I love having to be part of this. This is great.
This is doing it. The thing that I figured out about, you just got to get in the water and swim. That was in a podcast with a friend of mine, Jared Angaza. And it was on his podcast. And I was just like, it's really that easy. That there's a reason why that picture is my picture for the podcast, because that was a major shift. It signifies before that, look, I got a PhD, I got an MBA, a lot of planning, a lot of like doing something for the hopes of something in the future. And I'm not going to knock that, but now it's just a lot more of just doing it.
I want you to give that lesson to all the kids on Friday if you make it up. Because, it's one thing when I'm talking to my kids and other kids, it's another thing when somebody new talks to them. And that's the exact idea. Every day when I get in that cold shower, there's that moment before I get in. And then you just step in and it's done. You're in.
Yeah.
You just got to cross that line to do great things. Just got to cross over the line.
Yeah. When I first started doing my first cold shower, I was inspired by Joel Running's blog. But then, I had 30 days straight to do it. And eventually, I don't know about you, but like actually doing stuff, you develop tricks to make it easier, to make it work easier. Yep. And with the cold showers, I was doing 5 minutes minimum. This is like December into January, I forget what year. And to make sure I did the 5 minutes, I would set my timer on my phone to go off after 5 minutes. And then I realized I set it for 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And so I had 10 seconds to get in and have the water on. And it was just a nice little trick that it did the trick. And when you do it, the first couple times you do it, it's hard. The first couple times you do something, you're figuring it out. And then you figure it out. Like right now, carrying the rowing machine up the stairs, it bangs the wall a lot. Like it's a really bulky thing. And I don't want to break the rowing machine. So I got to figure this out. Like, how am I going to carry it up the stairs without keeping hitting the wall so much? I also don't want to mess up my building. So it's a challenge. I don't know. I got to figure it out. Doing it will solve it.
You got to be very thoughtful and you got to carry it. And it's going to be a little more painful, but that's good.
Yeah. How to hold it. It's like really, it's not easy. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, you're carrying rocks up hills. Rocks aren't made ergonomic either.
No, rocks are not that. I've always enjoyed bulky, unorthodox things to train with. Rusty chains. I carry a chain and drag it. Matter of fact, I dragged it this morning a couple of miles. Yeah, I love just doing crazy, unorthodox things.
This is really fun. I'm looking forward to, I feel like the closing line of Casablanca. Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I agree. And we're going to throw Doug in, and it'll be a three-way friendship. And then I'll pull in some other crazies that have unique angles on the world we live in.
I'm going to close right there. Unless you have anything to wrap up with, anything I didn't think to ask.
No, I'm good. Hopefully we could make, be safe, use the balloons if I can't get a kayaker, and then hopefully I see you Friday.
All right. Joe De Sena, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. I'll see you.
I'm recording these words just after my conversation with Joe. Since this recording, for you to hear it, has to go through my editor and so forth, if I made the swim and I visited Vermont, I probably would have posted about it to my blog a while ago. I've already checked. Amtrak does not serve Rutledge, Vermont, I think because of the pandemic for now. But the friend I'm swimming across the Hudson with lives in New Jersey, so he has a car. He's a fitness guy, so he loves the idea of carrying rocks up and down a mountain for 24 hours. He's also a fitness trainer, among other things, so he loves helping kids. The big picture, I love seeing how a couple conversations and actually doing things, not complaining about others have to act or government or corporation should, that they lead to results. And this is a joy. This is why when people say what one person does, it doesn't matter. They're missing the point. It's not how big or small the first thing, that's not what matters. It's, do you care about it? Is it meaningful? Because if it's meaningful, then small will inevitably lead to big. And if it's meaningful and you care about it, you'll share it with others. Look, I'm not going to argue that little things don't add up if enough people do them, but what matters is big things that get shared. And that's what this is about. I think you saw it happening here, and I don't think this is the end of it. And probably by the time you're hearing this, bigger things have happened. But I'm recording it now. I can't wait to see what happens. How many people are bringing a message of joy from what everyone calls saving the environment, but I call the future? Step by step, this podcast is creating a culture of joy, community, and connection around sharing and acting on our environmental values. Again, there's no profit in buying and wasting less, but we'll all love our lives and relationships more when we do. I can use your support. Please donate at joshuaspodek.com/donate. Again, that's joshuaspodek.com/donate.